Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Pick up your logo merchandise by heading over to abvnetwork.com, clicking on Shop, and start filling your basket today. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for something for yourself, a customized gift, or logoed items for your business gift shop, the Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. That's the number 2 in the Bar to Go. Don't forget our friends at Neely Family Distillery now ship their unique distilled spirits directly to you. To order yours, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we complete a bracket challenge to determine the best gum descriptor for bourbon nosing and tasting. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Katie Joyce, Jack McBride, and Cailee Baker.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hello.
So we've got a fun show today. We're going to be talking about gum descriptors. For some reason, I do 2-3 tastings a week online. Sign up for those. Go to abvnetwork.com. But for some reason, gum descriptors always come up. Maybe it's just our group. And then once it infiltrates your group, then it's just a thing. Now, I put all the regulars on there, and I left one off, the Topps bubblegum baseball card. That definitely had a distinct taste, and that does come up. I didn't put that in the list, but the rest of them I got on there. And then I put a couple other ones that I feel like should be on there. So it should be a fun bracket challenge today, but we'll get to that after the break. For right now, Jack's new. He hasn't been on a show before. So tell us about yourself, Jack.
Well, thank you for having me on. I am a pediatrician in Toledo, Ohio.
Cool.
And, met you down in Kentucky where we were doing a little bike ride called the Bourbon Burn, and we get to ride bikes and drink bourbon and have a great time.
Yeah, that is a truly fun event. People should get involved in that if they are not doing so already. It combines riding a bike to distilleries. You get their stops. There's a whole base camp thing that's fun. There's whiskey tastings there. It's a cool thing for sure. And I get to have some fun on the mic. I'm on the mic on that thing each day, about 7 hours or something like that. So I end up just being myself. I quickly switched from being what I thought a professional announcer should be to just being myself on the mic, telling stories, making fun of people, all those cool things. So
I would love to see your partial professionalism
when I tried. Yeah.
And then I'd like to see once it starts just veering off into who you actually are, Steve.
It starts slowly because it's a professional gig, and I got it initially by luck. Actually, I get the gig, and then you don't want to lose the gig because it's a nice gig and I enjoy it. And you come on and you be professional because you don't know what they want. They just tell you to be an announcer. And then it's just too much time on the mic to kill. So I got to start just goofing around. And what as you start adding those little things in there, people start laughing and come up and say it's funny and tell me thank you for being there and you're adding to this thing. And so then the more I get patted on the back, then the worse it gets. Then I just keep going. And then, it ends up being just a good time.
You already know that we don't like corporate Steve, so I'm not sure why you try to be professional Steve. That's virtually the exact same person.
Right.
Corporate Steve, professional Steve. That's not the Steve that we know and love.
Right. Yes.
It's just our Tommy Bahama wearing long beard Steve.
Yeah. I now those that hired me, I don't think they knew this Steve versus corporate Steve, and I was worried they were thought they were hiring the corporate Steve guy. So I tried to do that, but it just didn't listen.
No one wants to hire corporate Steve.
They did. I thought they wanted professional. So yes, but it's like no other ones. I talked to a lot of. I don't ride or anything like that, and I don't go to other races. I only go to this one, and I asked him, is the announcer like this at the other places you go there? No, there's nothing like this. So yeah, it's definitely unique. So it's a thing to be part of for sure.
We veered off and talked about you, Steve. Let's talk about Jack some more. Jack, how long have you been into bourbon for?
Oh boy, that would probably be going on right about 10 years.
10 years. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
And was there a certain person that got you into bourbon?
Well, so yeah, I would say my wife sort of set the stage to enjoy bourbon. When we married, I was the daiquiri and pina colada guy, and she was the gin and tonic person. And I can.
So you met in the middle.
Remember,
The
we
middle
ended
is-
up at a
is
tequila
bourbon.
tasting, and she looked over at my flight and said, "Are you going to drink that?" And she finished it for me. But over
That is
some
amazing.
years, I got to where I could do that kind of thing, and then made a couple of friends here in town, and started having them over for movie night, and they started bringing bottles of bourbon, and I said, "Oh, let's see what this is all about," and fell in love.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about this movie night thing too, because it's a little bit more than that. It's a whole thing you got going on. Tell us. You sent me a picture of a wheel and stuff. What's all that?
Yeah, so they come over, and it's B movie and bourbon in the basement.
Okay.
And we watch sort of, second rate, the kind of movie schlock that you would find at the drive-in, like, the toad that ate Manhattan kind of thing. And and we drink bourbon and sort of make fun of whatever movie we're watching. Or sometimes we would just absolutely fall in love with whatever movie we're watching. But there's so many, B movies that I would get into an argument with myself over, what should we watch? And my sister fortunately came up with the idea of why don't you leave it to fate and create a wheel that could do it for you. And she thought I would go on Amazon and get like a little spinning wheel. But I decided to go a little heftier with it. And if I can pan into it here. So,
Looks like from a carnival. I mean, it's a.
big is that?
so this bad
like
boy
a wooden
has various
board.
B-movie personalities. Like at the pointer right now is Joe Bob Briggs.
Sounds like Wheel of Fortune too. Yeah.
And then
It
we
is, it's
have
like a big Wheel of Fortune wheel.
Bruce Campbell, Felissa Rose, Adrian Barbeau from
I like
Creep
Adrian
Show,
Sure.
and from
Escape from New York.
Cannibal Women in the Escape from New York, Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
My dad met her. He loved Adrian Barbeau.
Oh, she was marvelous, and they've all signed their spots. I've taken this to various conventions,
Oh,
and
cool.
I took it to the Bourbon Burn, and Stephen Thompson of Kentucky Artisan Distillery signed the bourbon spot on the wheel.
Oh, that's nice.
But then you can just sort of leave it to fate and see what we're gonna watch tonight. And
This is so
and if it
cool.
lands on the glass of bourbon, then we all drink and we spin again.
That is,
That's amazing.
I am so impressed.
Right.
Like
That's the real deal there.
we used to start, I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, like B movies and bourbon. That's cool. You have a whole fucking wheel.
Right. Right. That's a whole
It
dedication.
makes for a fun evening, and the wheel knows what we should be watching each time. Sometimes it lands, and we're like, oh, why did I even put that on the wheel? I can't. That's going to be miserable. And then it turns out, nope, that's what we were supposed to be watching.
Sometime I'll have to come up there. We can watch my movie. It's a D movie level, I would say.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
What's
Made
the
it in
movie?
high school. So Friday the 13th, The Real Story.
Aha,
Steve
nice.
Akeley
I
and
like it.
my jackass friends. Yes.
Perfect.
And my at that time to-be wife makes a cameo in the movie. So she's in
Oh,
there.
that's so cute.
That's nice. It's nice. The real star of it is my 1966 Ford Mustang, which I wish I still had, is in that movie. Well, it's in there. Very
You
sad.
lose in that movie, huh?
Yeah, we gotta do a screening of that. So maybe at the distillery we'll do it or something like that. Because
That's great, a screening.
your mother-in-law has like a movie screen we could borrow and stuff like that. Do it in the distillery. It'll be fun to show there. You almost need to explain it because we're not that good at art direction and stuff like that. And if I stand up next to it and explain what you're getting ready to see, then it's kind of funny. It makes sense. But yeah,
Okay.
my dad was in there. He's a policeman. We had his police car. We had an actual police car in the movie. So
How
Yeah.
long is it?
how long's the movie?
Yeah.
Not that long, like 35 minutes or something like that. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of a short film. We used to, my parents had a second home, like a lake house, and it was actually on the river. So I guess a river house, but I don't really refer to that. But yes, it's shot there mostly. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. We'll have to watch it. So it's funny to watch. I have a big fight scene. Yeah, it's good. It's good. We use a lot of music in there. Katie said it's actually okay. We use the Rolling Stones in there and stuff because we're students at the time and we made no money off of it. Yeah.
For educational purposes.
It was educational purposes. So there you go. There is, welcome, Jack, first of all. Thank you for being part of this. And it'll be fun. We record 4 shows, so you'll get the audience to get to know you a little bit as we go through the rest of the shows. But guess what? It is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Cailee. Cailee, what do you got? I think you need to get back on the horse here. That's key to getting better.
I'm ready. I've puked and now I'm going to rally. So let's do it. But I'm going to be drinking Fucklehead tonight. This is from Leatherwood Distillery where I work now.
Okay.
And it is my uncle's brand of Leatherwood Distillery. But he had a bunch of bottles engraved. I don't know if you can see that. I know they can.
Oh, but, yeah. We can see it.
Yeah, had it engraved with the Fucklehead symbol and our wedding date and stuff on the back. And it says, "The union of two Fuckleheads. Enjoy the journey." So
nice.
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna get my phone closer because I feel like I'm losing today.
There you go.
Oh, I'm getting sick now. Oh, that was
good.
That was good. It was either the cork pop or she hit a piece of wood with a hammer or something. It was an interesting noise.
That's what I thought. It was an interesting sound.
Interesting sound for a cork pop. We had to go off camera there.
We couldn't see the cork pop on the screen.
Yeah. Suddenly Cailee is dominating. Sounded traditional there. Amazing.
I hit the table by accident.
All right. Well, you're the lead. No matter what, right now, if nothing else, you have the lead right now. Katie, what do you got?
I have the Woodhead Spirits Bloody Butcher Red Corn Whiskey. That was our ABV Network barrel pick.
Nice.
Called Toasted Toffee.
Katie was part of that. She was there. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's going to be tough to beat.
That was good.
Jack, can you beat that thing? It's the microphone.
No, I doubt it very much.
Kaylee's claiming it's the microphone.
I've got Restoration Rye from Castle and Key.
Mm-hmm.
And that we rode our bikes out there from the burn. And
nice.
We had put a couple of cars because it was 43 miles to get there through the Kentucky hills, and we thought we'd just drive back.
Smart plan.
We'll see what we got.
Okay, not enough. Not enough.
It was silent. Yes.
Not enough. All right, I've got Distillery 291. This is their Colorado small batch. Their rye. So let's see what we got here. Hopefully, I'm hoping for some life here. Here we go. Boy, that was solid. That was really solid, but it's not going to be enough to take over Katie. It was not quite that good, but very good effort. I take over second place and the 1,500 bonus points you get for second place right now. But Miss Beka Sue still has to go. So Beka, what do you got?
I'm going to probably be doing 4 bottle kills tonight just to get rid of some stuff. And so I don't plan on winning any cork pops. I've got a very well loved bottle here of Eagle Rare. Is actually, I think this is a barrel pick from Jeff Kaplan. Sorry, Jeff, I'm finishing your bottle.
The only way he's going to learn. Nah, nothing there. Nothing at all. So there you go. Katie takes it. Cheers, gang.
Woo!
Cheers.
Ding.
Bottle.
All right.
Cheers.
We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, it's going to be bracket challenge time. We're going to find the best gum descriptor in the business. We'll do that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and let's talk for a moment about our sponsors, the people that make this show happen. First up is our friends at Moonshine University. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at their office in Louisville. The information I learned through lead instructor Colin Blake and their team there is something that I continue to draw upon frequently in my role at the ABV Network. It truly is the standard of establishing a benchmark of knowledge of the bourbon industry. From history to production to brands and people, it's all there. Check out their full listing of programs, including Executive Bourbon Steward Certification, production classes if you're considering starting a distillery, and much more at moonshineuniversity.com. I also want to talk about Neely Family Distillery. Back in May of 2018, I met Royce Neely at Limestone Branch's Craft Bourbon Festival. It ended up not only being the start of a great friendship, I started to truly learn about what makes craft whiskey so amazing. You see, I had been a bourbon drinker for over 30 years at that point, and like many people who had been drinking bourbon a long time, I was hard-coded into thinking big bourbon was where it was at and craft was on a journey to get there. Spending time with Royce and learning the things he does to make his whiskey taste better started to really get me to appreciate how things like sweet mashing, open top fermentation, pot distillation, and the grains you are using not only makes your product taste better coming off the still, but also out of the barrel as well. I still love heritage brands and they make up a bulk of my collection. But when you find a craft distiller that is truly dedicated to the craft of distilling, you are drinking some of the best whiskey out there on the market today. That's exactly what's happening at Neely Family Distillery today. Check them out on the web at neelyfamilydistillery.com, or better yet, stop by and see them at their distillery in Sparta, Kentucky. And now, back to the show.
Hey, this is Paul Russo, and you're listening to The Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're going to figure out which gum tastes the most like bourbon.
Yes, we are. If you're not finding gum flavor notes, you're doing it wrong, I feel, because whenever we do them, someone always finds one, at least one of them. So amazing to think about. Jack's got most of them there. How many of the 8 do you have?
I think I managed to come up with 6 of them. Yes. 6.
Okay. You want to chew these when we get down to the finals and maybe do it like that? We need to
I might do that. Yeah, I went through most of them today. Okay. I could not find Hubba Bubba Grape, but the last time I chewed that was 40 years ago, and I remember it all too well.
Right. It is a flavor that does stay with you. I get that.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the contenders. This is the possibilities here. We got Big Red, Juicy Fruit, Bubble Yum, Hubba Bubba Grape, Double Mint, Fruit Stripe Gum, Clove Gum, which is, I got the tasting notes from the gum here off the website. Clove, cinnamon, and allspice. And then Blackjack, which is licorice, anise, and or anise. Anise. It's anise, right? I always want to say it's anise, but that's wrong. It's just wrong. It's anise.
And no,
ginger.
I don't think there's a correct way to say it.
I think there is.
Saying it because I don't know.
Think so. If half the people say it one way and half the people say it the other way, then it's just 2 ways to say it. There's not a correct way.
It means half the people are wrong.
No, it's too many. If just 5 of us said it the wrong way, then we're wrong. But
no.
No one actually knows.
The first person to say the word is right, and then anybody who does it differently.
Who was that?
There you go. Someone sitting in their car,
it was Fred
listening
Annis.
to this right now, is like yelling in their car, like it's pronounced anise or whatever.
I think most people, because anise starts, it's getting too close. It's circling the drain of anus. I think that's how they go with the with the anise, and I think that's the idea there. Here's our matchups. We're gonna have Katie Google that, but while she's doing that, our matchups are gonna look like this: Fruit Stripe Gum will take on Big Red. Battle of the Titans there. Then you got Juicy Fruit versus Double Mint. That's out of the same Wrigley family there. And then you got Clove Gum taking on the Bubble Yum. 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. Couldn't be more different. And then Hubba Bubba Grape and Blackjack, also opposite ends of the spectrum. So round 1. Katie, did you find out anything?
I did. So the American pronunciation is anise. The British pronunciation is anise.
There you go.
I told you. It's just 2 different ways of saying it.
You're not British, though.
She could be.
They do say all things differently. Just everything's slightly different in Britain. And they could say, well, we're wrong because they're there first. Right.
There's a town in Kentucky called Cadiz, and half the people call it Cadiz or
Cades.
Cadiz, and Cadiz are the 3 different pronunciations that
Cadiz.
And I say anise and Adidas. This is my could pronounce everything British. Adidas.
Adidas. All right. Fruit stripe gum versus Big Red. Round number 1. Jack, you're first. What do you think? What's the better one here? Fruit stripe gum or Big Red? Talking in the lexicon of being a flavor note you would pull out of bourbon. You might be like,
right.
okay, guys, what are your notes? Yeah.
I guess with those two, I originally I really thought Big Red is going to be great and fine if you're drinking Fireball, right?
Mhm.
I mean, then that's your flavor note. But as I drink this rye tonight, I would say I get a little bit of that sort of that spicy cinnamon flavor from the rye. I'll go with Big Red.
Big Red. Big Red goes up 1-0. Cailee, what do you think?
I'll agree with Big Red. I don't know that I've ever pulled out a fruit stripe flavor note out of.
You gotta come on our events. It'll happen. All right, Katie, here's where we're at. Fruit stripe's down 2-0, but it has life in this game. What's your vote? Fruit stripe gum or Big Red?
So when I hear Big Red, I say I'm with Jack, and I immediately think of Fireball. And
right.
I don't often go on tasting notes when I'm drinking Fireball, but I will say I tend to notice the fruitier flavors anyway. I feel like, and there's a few of them that I can think of that like I've pulled out like Fruity Pebble type flavors before,
Nice.
which I would think would be similar there to fruit stripe gum. So I'm going to say fruit stripe.
Fruit stripe gum goes up or is down, but it has life in this game. It's down 2-1. Beka, you're next. Big Red or fruit stripe gum?
I'm going with fruit stripe gum as well, because I'm kind of with Katie on this, where I get a lot of different like fruity different flavors off of things. I obviously do get cinnamon off of it as well. But lately I feel like I've been picking up a lot of fruit. A lot of citrus.
Okay.
So
I'll say this. So I come down to the tiebreaker here. I feel like both of them are, if you do enough tastings, you'll get both of these in your whiskey tastings. What comes up more often though? That to me is going to be the tiebreaker here, because both of these do come up. And I think there are more with kind of those cinnamon notes that you could say is akin to Big Red. That means Big Red will move on because it's going to get my vote. Round 2, juicy fruit versus double mint. Cailee, you're first. Juicy fruit or double mint?
Ooh, I'm going to go with double mint on this one. I don't know what it is about my tasting notes, but I pull mint out of a lot of whiskeys. I don't know why.
Okay. That means double mint's up 1-0. Katie, what are you thinking?
Then I am just the exact opposite. That for whatever reason, I very rarely notice mint in something, but juicy fruit has been one that I've specifically noticed before in whiskeys of that specific type of fruit flavor.
Yes. Right. Well, all right. That means we're tied. Miss Beka Sue, what do you think? Juicy fruit or double mint? They're tied 1-1.
I am apparently just like Katie and not at all like Cailee.
Say ditto.
I don't feel like I can ever find mint on any of my bourbons that I've tried, and I'm sure that it's been there, and I probably just need someone to point it out to me. But I personally have never picked up mint on any bourbons, but I have gotten juicy fruit.
Yeah, and I am going to agree with Katie and Beka. I feel like that is a note that I do get. Mint, very rarely for me do I get every once in a while, but that juicy fruit taste is definitely in some whiskeys for sure. Different than fruit stripe, which is multiple fruits. The juicy fruit is its own unique fruity flavor, kind of non-descriptive, but it is very sweet and fruity, and I think it's in there. So I'm going juicy fruit means it does move on. Look at me. I've dominated who moves on the first two. All right. Clove gum versus bubble gum. Round number 3. Katie, you're first.
Ooh, okay. So there are a select few where I very much get the bubble yum type flavor. And honestly, I never thought about clove gum before, because I think I would say like, oh, this is clove, this is allspice or cinnamon. So while I think the flavors of clove gum I notice far more often, I personally wouldn't use the gum to describe it, but I would use the gum if I tasted bubble yum. So I'm going to go with bubble yum.
Okay.
I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that's what I'm
No,
going with.
you've got me rethinking. That's what happens on these shows. Because initially I was going to be like, those clove flavors that are in the gum are in there. But you're right. I think I would be more likely to pick those out individually. But it's not my vote. It's Miss Beka Sue. Beka, what do you think? Clove gum or bubble yum?
This one is hard just because Katie's right in like the sense. I mean, those are flavors that you always pick up. At least
Right.
I do on my bourbons all the time. I get the allspice, the clove.
Allspice is a lot. Cinnamon, yeah. And clove comes up too. And sometimes it's just baking spices. We just lump it together.
Yes, I say baking spices is
Yeah.
a descriptor I say a lot.
Yeah.
Wait, before you vote, I have a question. Should we have Jack? Do you have that clove gum there? Was that the ones you found?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
We could have him chew this and describe it so that you could vote
Yeah, okay.
off just how true
Okay.
the gum is for the actual spices we normally taste.
Yeah, my wife was kind enough to make a run to Dollar General to
That's
acquire.
really-
those
Oh,
Bubble
okay.
Yum
Dollar
Black
General.
Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baller.
Apparently, you can get them at Cracker Barrel too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cracker Barrel has all those old brands and stuff like that. The Dollar General is a surprise, though.
Yeah, it goes in very dry. I can tell you that.
It's a dry
That
start.
could be a whiskey thing.
True.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. That's clove. I mean, that's just like you open your spice cabinet and you put
clove.
some
Okay.
Okay,
clove in
so
your
it's
mouth.
accurate. It's not like a
It's
gum version
incredibly
where
accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, there you go, Becca. We had some live gum chewing. First time we've ever had that on the show, by the way. Groundbreaking.
This one is hard because I've gotten like bubble yum off of bourbons a lot, and like Kate, like I've never said I'm getting clove gum, but I've gotten clove,
Yeah.
and apparently it's the exact same thing. So now I'll say clove gum.
right going forward.
Like I didn't, but I will now that I know that it tastes exactly like clove.
Right.
But which one am I going to get more off of? Like, is a better descriptor of bourbon? It clove gum, I would say. Like, I think I
Clove.
get baking spices and like cloves off of bourbon more often than I do. I do occasionally get, bubble yum, but not all the time.
Yeah. I would say for me, I do get the bubble yum, but it goes back to this is the better descriptor. And I feel like it goes back to Katie's thing. She changed my mind where I was going to vote initially because I felt like I would just say clove if I picked that up, or if I picked up the other spices that are there, also I would call them out individually. So I'm going to go bubble yum would be a descriptor that I would use more frequently. So that's the one I go with. So that means bubble yum is up 2-1 over clove gum. Jack, you're next.
Yeah, well, you bring up a very good point that I probably would have never said clove gum. I sort of wanted to believe that I don't get bubble yum in a lot of my bourbons, but then I sort of look back and I think of what I've purchased, and especially when I get more of a sweeter note on something, and yeah, I might have to confess that I've been drinking a little bit of bubble yum here and there. So I probably have to go with the bubble yum on this one, to my surprise.
Yeah, bubble yum moves on. All right, next up is the Hubba Bubba Grape versus Blackjack. Round number 4. Miss Beka Sue, you're first. Hubba Bubba Grape or Blackjack?
Hubba Bubba Grape or Blackjack. I can say that neither one of these I have ever used. Any of the like I've never gotten licorice or anise, whatever, or ginger off my bourbons that I've noticed. And I've never gotten grape.
Mm-hmm.
So
she votes for none. They're both
yeah.
Sad.
Can we just kick them?
I feel like I'd probably be more prone to. I don't think I've never even had a fake grape flavor from it. So I'm just gonna go with Blackjack because I feel like maybe that'd be more something that would happen.
Blackjack goes up 1-0. I'm going to say Blackjack as well. I do get those anise flavors from time to time, and I think that it is Good descriptor. I feel like the blackjack gum is good. So I'm going to go. That means it's up 2-0. Jack, what do you think? We're not going to make you try that one. It feels like that
Well,
one
he
could ruin
did.
your palate
He
for the
already
night.
tried
No, I'm chewing it right
You
now.
got it right now? Okay. You may be
Yeah.
done for the night then. Everything's going to
And
taste like that for that.
He's
You're going to pull a
committed.
lot of
Say
those
that-
notes out. Okay.
It is not the overwhelming sort of strength of licorice that you would think if you're going to get like a black licorice.
Right.
I would put it as mild.
This is actually a good thing then, because
Right.
that's a very
I
overpowering
would say it's
taste.
milder than a good and plenty.
Right.
And it's definitely
Which should be
it
along the
almost
lines
has
of what
a
you pick
little-
up in
little
bourbon
bit of
too, by the
clove
way.
in there in that one as well.
Okay.
So I think you would, if you went out to Cracker Barrel and got yourself some blackjack gum, you would after chewing it, you would use it to describe a lot of whiskeys. So
I
I
think
would
that's
have to stick
good.
with blackjack.
That's a good point, Jack, because of the fact that what you're trying to describe then, if you throw out there anise, anise, you just throw that out. That's a very powerful, and most whiskeys that you're going to try will have hints of that. It's not going to be overpowering, like an absinthe or something like that. It's not going to have that taste. You just pick up a little hint of it. So blackjack is probably a better descriptor if you're saying it's a very mild. That's probably
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Our final four looks like this. Big Red will take on Juicy Fruit. Bubble Yum takes on Blackjack. Round number 5. I am first. Big Red or Juicy Fruit. I think these are both good descriptors that do come up frequently for me. I think more often though, Juicy Fruit is one that we say on the event. So I'm going to go Juicy Fruit. Jack, what do you think? Big Red or Juicy Fruit?
Boy, I almost feel that I should abstain because Juicy Fruit is one of my favorite movie quotes. The entire quote is juicy fruit. And that comes from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest when Jack Nicholson has handed a stick of gum to
From the chief
who is mute throughout, and he says thanks, and Nicholson is surprised and amazed, and he doesn't want to disturb anything, so he just hands him another stick of juicy fruit, and Chief looks down and says, juicy fruit. And now you know that his mute situation has been a lie the entire time. So I will always in any contest vote juicy fruit.
Juicy Fruit. Yeah. Juicy Fruit's up 2-0. Cailee, what do you think?
I think I'm going to go with juicy fruit as well because I have a few times pulled that out of a couple bourbons I've tried.
All right. That means Juicy Fruit will be moving on to the finale. Bubble Yum or Blackjack, the last of our final four. It's round number 6. Jack, you're first. Bubble Yum or Blackjack?
Yeah, I honestly, I wish I could hand you each a piece of blackjack gum right now. It's going to become your favorite descriptor after you try it. But that's no contest. It's blackjack.
Blackjack goes up 1-0. Cailee, what do you think?
I'm going to go with blackjack as well. I think I probably would use a little more baking spices in my tasting notes than bubblegum.
All right. Next up is Katie. Bubble Yum or Blackjack?
Before I vote, Jack, do you have bubble yum there?
I do.
Okay, can you try that out and think about it? Think of whiskey when you're
Like
choosing
give it a better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So I've
you're
never
right. I was sort of
thought
quick
about-
to dismiss. I ate some earlier today. I've been chewing gum all day. I've had more gum today than I've had in the rest of my life because I'm not a gum fan.
Jack, what do you think when you get the show notes over from a Bourbon Daily podcast and it's on gum descriptors? It has to be weird, right? You're like,
It took me a minute. I thought you meant like the bourbon on my gums.
Right.
And I thought like that's odd because taste buds are on the tongue, but if that's how like a little past the gums, I'll take it. That's fine. And then I'm looking through all the contenders and like, man, these are all gum. That's so weird. So I wouldn't say that I caught on super quickly, but
First you
eventually
thought-
I got there.
Steve needed a science lesson on where we taste flavor. He's like
Right,
that
right.
doesn't come from your gums.
Taste Big Red at in your gums.
Yeah, exactly. It's so sweet. It's just
Okay.
it's for me, like, I would probably use this as a descriptor for like a lower end bourbon that had maybe found some artificial flavorings into the bottle somehow. It just feels, and I love art. Like, give me a thing of, blueberry all October long, but it's just so sweet.
Okay. All
All
right.
right. Well, with that, I'm going to vote for Blackjack then.
That means Blackjack moves to the finale. How about this?
Because as we know from previous podcasts, we don't like flavored whiskey around here.
Exactly. Exactly.
We don't want that sugar in it.
We may have sent a run to Dollar General now, though. If people want to get this Blackjack at this point, it's in the finals. So Juicy Fruit, which is a classic, widely available. Where do you find that? Do you find it at the checkout at wherever you shop at? That's where it's at. And then versus Blackjack, a little bit harder to find, but apparently you can find it at Dollar General or at what's the restaurant?
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel, yeah. Or
Probably not after the podcast airs. There's going to be a shortage of Blackjack in the area.
Right.
We need to find out
What's
what
happening?
Company owns Blackjack. We need to go buy some stock real quick.
Yeah, we should. We should. Before this airs, we got a little bit of time. So get with your broker. All right. Round number 7. Cailee, you're going to be first one to weigh in on this. Juicy Fruit or Blackjack? What do you think?
I'm going to send Blackjack on.
All right. Blackjack goes up 1-0. Katie, what do you think? Juicy Fruit or Blackjack?
I'm so torn because looking at the list, I thought for sure that Juicy Fruit would be my vote every time because I've used that on somewhat regular occasion. I've used Juicy Fruit to describe what I'm tasting, but man, just Blackjack just came out of nowhere almost for me, and I didn't think it would be that accurate. That I feel like it almost was a gum now designed for whiskey tasting. Like this was in their thought process.
It helped that Jack had this. This ended up being a valuable tool that he went out and got these. So
yeah,
Blackjack.
Had only more of us been actually prepared.
Right.
Big shout out to my wife Stephanie for grabbing.
Stephanie, thank you.
Woo, go Stephanie.
Yeah.
Then to thank Stephanie's efforts, I'm going to vote for Blackjack.
That means Blackjack quickly goes up 2-0. Beka, you can end this thing, or you can give Juicy Fruit life in this game. What do you think?
We're just going to close it out with Blackjack because apparently it just makes sense.
Yeah. I think that it is an excellent descriptor because when you get that taste, and if it tends to be pretty subdued, to call it anise, anise specifically is too much. To say black licorice is probably too much. This sounds like it's a little bit toned down version, so sounds perfect. So there you go. Blackjack it is. That is our show champion and perhaps what may be considered an upset. How about that? Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Jack, we're starting with you. Where can people find you?
Where can people find me?
Yeah, this is always an interesting question for the newbie. So tell us what you think. Where should people find you?
Before you,
like if they want to hunt me down, I tell you what. So that probably the best place to find me would be on a Disney cruise.
Okay, check out your local Disney cruise and
on your local Disney cruise.
All
if
right.
you go on a Disney cruise, there's a good chance you'll find me in one of the more upscale bars.
All right. All right, Cailee, how about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Cailee O. Baker, and I'm always going to be hanging out at Leatherwood Distillery. Come see me.
All right. Katie, how about you?
You can find me in the Caribbean on a beach. And then also over at Instagram at Katie Proof.
All right, Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website, though, is abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. All of our previous shows or blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Ms. Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right, great job today, gang. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See you.
Bye.
Hasta mañana.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's chat for a moment about Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you just want to experiment on a small scale on the stove in your kitchen or try your hand at a bigger setup in the backyard, Moonshine Still Pro can help. They have different still offerings as well as accessories and even grains from Goldstone Mill to help you make whiskey on par with what you get from your favorite distillery. They can even assist with a DIY still project by supplying some of the parts you can't make yourself. Check them out at moonshinestillpro.com. At the ABV Network, we're lucky enough to have some great friends. Amongst those friends is the Goldstein family, owners of Goldstone Mill. Goldstone Mill is a full-service mill offering a variety of heritage and heirloom grains. Their unique approach of working with mills around the country allows them to offer you affordable shipping opportunities to meet the unique needs of your distillery or brewery. They will consult with you to ensure the grains you are selecting meets the unique flavor profiles you are looking for. If you are a home brewer or distiller and you're looking for the grains that your local distillery or brewery uses, Goldstone Mill is the place to look. Check them out on the web at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or shoot them an email at hello@goldstonemill.com.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.